What? Why are you looking at me like that? Oh, you think this isn't relevant to the Nationals? Well, the Marlins and the Nationals are both in the NL East, so why don't you just go to hell? Before the lockout began, free agency went absolutely insane. The likes of Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Max Scherzer, etc. were handed out some massive contracts, but to me, there's something more interesting happening under the radar. The Miami Marlins have been making less flashy, but also extremely savvy moves in free agency and trades to add to a budding young team. And I think it's finally time for the Miami Marlins to return to the postseason. And not the Mickey Mouse kind. Now, why in the world would I say that about a team that's never won the division and has only made the playoffs 3 times in their history? There's multiple factors at play here, including some potential outside help coming, but for now, let's focus on what they can control, which is their roster. The most notable part of the Marlins roster construction is undoubtedly their starting pitching. Honestly, in a perfect world where everything works out, this potential rotation could be the best in MLB next season. But even in an imperfect world, the Marlins have 3 potential ace starting pitchers. First, there's rookie stud Trevor J. Rogers, who has a completely normal name, but not so normal stuff, and only one of those things is true. Rogers has tons of potential, and you can see just how good his 2021 was by looking at his FIP. At 2.55, Trevor Rogers ranked second in all of MLB, just behind Corbin Burns. As FIP is a generally accurate predictive stat, it's safe to assume Rogers will continue pitching well. Now, he needs the innings to match it. Second, the forgotten but consistent Pablo Lopez is an anchor in the middle of the rotation, a guy who can go out and win the all-important swing game of a weekend series. Lopez is a number 3 starter in title only, however. Let me drop some numbers on you. Before his season was cut short due to an injury, in 20 starts, Lopez pitched to a 3.07 ERA in just over 100 innings pitched. If he made enough starts to qualify, he would have finished 12th in MLB on the ERA leaderboard. That's better than guys like Garrett Cole and Charlie Morton. He also increased his strikeouts per 9 innings to double digits. Like Trevor Rogers, Lopez has the skills to succeed. Now he just needs to do it for a whole season. I already said this in another video, but my 2022 MLB hot take is that Sandy Alcantara will win the Cy Young Award. Allow my past self to explain why I believe this. Sandy Alcantara is the greatest pitcher ever. Yeah, I think that about sums it up. Alcantara strikes out 9 batters per 9 innings while producing a 53% ground ball rate. You're not really supposed to be able to do that. And yet, Alcantara did that in 2021, and if he continues to produce like that, he gonna be good. Oh, yeah, this potential 3-headed monster at the top of the rotation, 24, 25, 26. You better not mess this one up, cheater. So they got 3 pitches. Big deal! It's not like they also have an elite pool of players in the minor leagues to pick from to fill the 4 and 5 spots in the rotation. They have an elite pool of players in the minor leagues to pick from to fill the 4 and 5 spots in the rotation. 2 of the options come in Eliezer Hernandez and Jesus Luzardo, who were both top 100 prospects, and the other 2, Sixto Sanchez and Edward Cabrera, are currently top 100 prospects. It's kinda tough to pick out of these 4 guys for just 2 spots, which is a good problem for the Marlins to have, I suppose. I think they'll end up going with Hernandez and Luzardo to start the season, but if it was my decision, I would put Hernandez in the 4 spot, and in the 5 spot, Sixto Sanchez. Which of course means we'll get another Edward Cabrera prospect card in Diamond Dynasty to terrorize ranked play for a few months again. So this would be a rotation in which the oldest member would be 26. The raw potential, the talent, the swagger, it's all there. Now, they just need a very bald man to lead them. The Marlins acquired Jacob Stallings before the trade deadline, and I think this is going to be the best pickup of the offseason for them, possibly for any team. If you don't know about this guy, you may not get why I'm saying that. The surface numbers don't seem to back up this claim, as he's only a decent hitter, but you know what they say. Licking doorknobs is illegal on other planets. Wait, no, that's not right. Defense wins championships. Normally, I use outs above average when talking about fielding ability, but it's yet to be implemented for catchers, so instead I'll use defensive runs saved. In 2021, Stallings ranked first in MLB in defensive runs saved among catchers. He nearly doubled second place Austin Hedges, and in the grand scheme of the league, he ranked second only behind Ryan McMahon in over 300 less innings played. And that's not even to mention his superior framing ability. Fangraphs framing metrics love Stallings as a top 5 framer in the business right now, as he's ranked 4th in RSZ. I'm not going to pretend to know what that acronym stands for, but the bottom line is he could probably frame you for a crime you didn't commit.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Okay, time's up.
So now take that framing ability and mix it with Sandy Alcantara's 99-mile-per-hour sinker on the black, and batters are gonna have a bad time.
For me, framing is about catching balls in the right position, in a good, strong position. I think, as I did a lot of research on it last year, the pitches that catchers lose the most are misfires. So say I'm setting up on a fastball in, and the pitcher yanks it and it turns into a fastball away. So many times guys will just give up on it because it's not where I called the pitch.
You try not to do that.
And so that was a big thing for me because I used to give up on those pitches too.
In my eyes, Stallings is going to be a great help to a young rotation that really doesn't even need the assistance. The Stallings trade was just one of a few transactions the Marlins made before the lockout began. How about trading for Joey Wendle, a scrappy hitter and fantastic infield defender who can play second base, shortstop, and third base well? They also inked Avisail Garcia to a 4-year deal and extended Sandy Alcantara 5 years for $66 million, which is an absolute steal at that price. The existing lineup is full of young talent, and a couple veteran holdovers who still have a chance to make an impact, like shortstop Miguel Rojas. Miggy Rowe has been in Miami since 2015, so he's seen everything, and yet he's seemingly very committed to winning in Miami. He plays fantastic defense at shortstop, and he's a contact hitter who rarely strikes out. He's a great presence in the middle infield. And at first base, there's Jesus Aguilar, a guy who absolutely refuses to not have fun over the course of a game.
I'm sorry, KJ.
No, you're good.
No, I know I'm good, I know.
He's also a player that challenges the idea that you can't quantify a player's clutch ability. In 2021, Aguilar might as well have had a toothpick in his hands with the bases empty, as he slashed a putrid 200, 270, 317. But with runners on base, he was a baseball god, hitting over 300 and OPSing over 1,000. It makes sense then that he ended up with 93 RBIs, even though he had less than 450 plate appearances, which is clear proof that RBIs are the most important batting statistic. Now entering the nursery, there's 24-year-old second baseman Jazz Chisholm, 25-year-old center fielder Brian De La Cruz, and 24-year-old outfielder Jesus Sanchez. Everyone likes to talk about Jazz Chisholm, and rightfully so. He's a good player with a superstar personality, but I think you should direct your attention to Jesus Sanchez instead. He's a very raw talent, but he slugged nearly 564 games last season. He had a power surge in the second half and ended up with 14 homers, including this majestic blast to center field.
First home run under his belt and puts a charge into this one, dead center field. That's a home run everywhere. Wow!
Jesus Sanchez may need some time, but look for the Marlins to make him a focal point of their lineup soon. Rounding out the infield is Brian Anderson at third base. Anderson has always been a consistent, solid hitter with decent power and plate discipline, along with some nice defense at third base. He's able to play the outfield as well, so I'm curious to see how the Marlins handle him and Joey Wendle. Same with Garrett Cooper. Coop doesn't really have a true position in Miami, but he can flat out rake. I think if you can get this guy at bats, you have to. He's been too productive of a hitter, especially versus left-handed pitching. The DH is probably coming to the National League, and when it does, Garrett Cooper will have a role. So let's say the everyday lineup looks something like this. That's a solid squad in my opinion, but it's not quite elite. I think the Marlins need a star to emerge and take the next step, and Jazz Chisholm is certainly the best candidate. At age 24, he's already played a full season and had decent results, and hopefully within the next 2 seasons, he'll take the next step forward for this club. They could also sign a star free agent after the lockout ends if they choose to, but this lineup can still be very successful if they win with pitching and defense. That's what they're currently designed to do, and a good bullpen always helps that cause. Luckily, the Marlins bullpen finished the 2021 season with an ERA under 4, 7th in Major League Baseball. There aren't necessarily any standout stars, just a bunch of guys who get the job done. There were rookie relievers Anthony Bender and Zach Pop, who both have top-level fastball velocity mixed with nasty off-speed pitches, although Pop struggled with giving away the free pass. There's veteran Richard Blyer, who may not know what a check swing is, but he definitely knows about getting outs. He's an out-getter. Doesn't matter why or how, he just gets them. Every bullpen needs a guy like that. They also employed Dylan Floro, who has closing experience, but technically isn't a closer. He's got 4 legit pitches, a power sinker and 4-seamer averaging 94 miles per hour, a wicked changeup that makes batters look silly, and a nice slider for a change of pace. And there's still a lot left to be done in the reliever market after the lockout ends. This Marlins pen is only going to get better. I feel like these Marlins have similarities to the recent Rays teams that haven't had a ton of all-stars, but still get consistent results. Maybe they won't be that good, but just using that blueprint could get this team to the playoffs, and with potential playoff expansion coming, those odds get even better. It's going to be very interesting to see how manager Don Mattingly handles this team, but I think he's the right man for the job. In Don, we trust.